Now, if you guys remember back before this morning, Andy had a great slide, the busy slide, about what good looks like. Fortunately, I've done it. So we've managed to achieve that grand design, the vision, and I'm here to tell you today to talk about the journey that we did to get there and all the rewards and promises that it actually yielded. Like, a lot of it's conceptual, it's great marketing, but I can tell you the actual reality and what it has unlocked for us at Dojo. Yeah, well, there you go. Maybe I should have clicked next. Cool. All right, sweet. So, who are Dojo? So, after the speech, I guarantee you're going to know who Dojo are, and you'll see us everywhere. We are primarily a card payment, card terminal company. We process digital transactions. We have about 8 different products in our suite. The terminal is our primary one, from QR codes to tablets to mobile devices, e-commerce, and yeah, this is us at a snapshot. We've got broken into 3 European markets this year. More to come next year, and it's been phenomenal growth. So when I say scale up, like, I mean that in every sense of the word. It's been phenomenal. And of course, COVID really helped our journey, being the death of cash, and the industry we're in. It was pretty awesome. So, and yeah, and especially pubs and restaurants are our primary market that we use. And so after today, you guys will go to the pub and restaurant and go, hey, Dojo, I remember talking to that guy. So, yeah. And yeah, so fantastic. And this is why intro was so critical. And I saw the vision, the importance, and the fact that everyone's here. If you're starting your journey, you're in the middle of it. It shows great maturity and acknowledging where the future's heading. And I take this job very seriously. This is a card machine. It is the lifeblood of a business, especially for small to medium businesses. A day lost in commerce can be death of a business. So it's a responsibility I take beyond importantly. And Intro was definitely a key tool to help us make sure that we are resilient, scalable, secure, and also, as a result, we are multi-cloud because we have to ensure uptime. Even Google can go down, and that's not acceptable to us. So we have to make sure identity and privilege management is wrapped around. Yeah, so, and that's oh yeah, cool. Another slide. Yeah, so 1 in 8. So we are dominating the market. A disruptor, as you can see. We've got a very good score. And customer first is our absolute mantra. Like, it's actually a sales pitch. You ring up any card machine competitor, they'll say, press 1 for this, 2 for that, stay online for 40 minutes. You'll have a human voice under 1 ring, guaranteed. And so customer first is absolutely key. And the ability to support that Intro is underpinning the entire ability to accomplish such good customer service. And when you think about our model, I'm kind of living the dream. Like, the more successful our customers are, the more successful Dojo is. So I don't have to make a compromise between customer first or business first. They go hand in hand. So it's phenomenal. Cool. So the challenge. So before COVID, we were 100% on-prem, 100% Active Directory. The desks were wired to the table. The workstations were wired to the table. And then March lockdown happened, and it flipped it to 100% laptop overnight. We had no cloud infrastructure. We didn't know what to do. We basically had to acquire 1,000 laptops, provision them to the users, and have no way to manage them. So, again, one of the best decisions I ever made. We had to make a choice: hybrid or cloud native. Hybrid being the easier, quicker option. Cloud being the more difficult, but I think it was the best way forward. And we decided to go cloud native. So it was a massive champagne moment when we shut down our Active Directory servers, I can tell you that. Yeah, it was, woo, we're done. So, yeah, break out the champagne. So, and while during that, COVID also accelerated the SaaS growth. Like, it was on-premise software was dying, everything was moving to the cloud. Google and AWS were dominating the market. And whether you knew it or not, your shadow IT and your tech debt was massively growing. Like, IT are not omniscient, they only know what they know. But the ability to go into any SaaS app, enroll it, get online, integrate, like, it's a massive risk. So this growth, you needed a way to unify and manage it. And this is where Intro and Cloud Identity come in. We did look at Okta, not going to lie. They were too expensive, screw that. So we went to Intro. So, yeah. And Intro, it was the horse. It was definitely worth backing. I'll go into it later, but it has unlocked more opportunities than we could ever have foreseen, to be honest with you. So license bleed, terminator user risk. Again, it took a couple of days to onboard a single customer service agent. Like, between fragmented teams doing different parts, the joiners, movers, leavers process, it was just not scaling. And with our international ambitions, we were onboarding thousands of customers. The first 3 years of Dojo, we were growing 50% quarter on quarter, like it was unprecedented. And yeah, we had to rein it in. And because we were a small company, so license bleed. I mean, some businesses, maybe it's a gap in the line, a few $100,000. What's the thing? But it's a big deal to us. And the Terminator user risk, and considering what we do as a business, is not acceptable. Cool. So the solution. Welcome, Intra. So we had 4 mountains that hopefully you guys mostly don't have all 4. The 5th mountain was hybrid, so we escaped that one. But we have, because of the way we kind of grew, Mac and Windows. Now that was a challenge in its own right. That is a mountain. Windows were easy. Intune, autopilot, device compliance, happy days. It was getting the Mac device compliance and the Mac policies to get into Intune to layer on the conditional access policies. Device compliance was an absolute critical objective. You can't touch the crown jewels unless you're on a company device. And even then, this is why I love this project, you needed a multi-layered security approach. Like, what good is it to say, oh, that company device, check? No. It needs to be a company device, minimum OS version, minimum antivirus version, BitLocker encrypted, then you can touch the system. But you also need to have a nice IT hygiene and patching process to be able to accomplish that. So we also transforms our entire patching process to the point now we have 1,500 devices and no criticals over 30 days. And that's incredible. And then there are technologies out there. Let's be honest, Intune's patch manager isn't that good. Like, you do need a third party, unfortunately. But it's, in terms of operating system hygiene, it gets you there. Also, multi-cloud, again, the fact that we've got 4 cloud systems in our infrastructure in heavy use, not just like bits and pieces in one primary, but heavy use in 4 of them. So we need a unified privilege management solution, because no one wants to manage 4 different cloud systems with their own 4 local identities and management systems. It's just it doesn't scale. It's a nightmare for auditing and compliance. And I think we're one of the first people to do full cloud privilege management in anger on all 4 clouds. GCP and Oracle being the biggest pain in the butt you could ever believe. AWS surprisingly easy. Azure shoo-in. And we're a Google Workspace customer. The job would have been so much easier if we used Office 365. So the fact that we could still do this and still use Google Workspace as well. One of the biggest challenges was Google don't separate the identity between Workspace and GCP. Thank you. But again, Intra, we've come up with a solution. You can work around it, living the dream. But the biggest mountain, which I hope no one ever has to go through, the identity that we had before is different domain to what Intra was. So we did all this during a domain migration. That was hell, and I told my team, one rule, no redirects. We do it right, we do it the first time, done. So it meant a lot of mass endpoint mapping changes on the third party, converting to SSO, hoping like hell it maps and connects. But yeah, it worked, we did it. And one of the, and this is the solution. So once we have accomplished all those mountains, it was the very first thing to do was HR system. It's key. I was making a joke just before. It's attached to payroll, and you better believe that database is up to date. So you know what I mean. So as long as and that's why it's important. So IT will never, even if you have automatic notifications, you're not going to know all levers, movers, all the systems. The HR system will, and especially me. The joiner process was important, but the lever process was as important for me. I wanted to make sure that all systems, licensing, the risk was all left as soon as it was terminated. And with Intra, it's down to minutes as soon as that termination's been processed. But then you've got to think as well, like Intra is, when you take the user context, your employees, your contractors, they're only a portion of the pie. You've also got the guest management, which is not typically on an HR system, and you've got utility accounts, which are shared accounts. Necessary evils, I hate them to hell, but like sometimes they're needed. And the ability to make sure that you've got the right conditional access policies, access reviews, even the onboarding process is streamlined and centralized to ensure, well, the reason that's important is you can tag them. So there's no identity in my infrastructure I can't be accounted for, like zero. I did an audit, again, another champagne moment. I had zero, like what the internal was, what the guests were, what the utility was. It was complete. And that was like a massive, it was a game changer. Once I knew what was on my estate, I could then start doing the birthrights, the automatic provisioning, and then going through there. And yeah, over 100 SaaS apps So it took us about 18 months to migrate them all. The core app's been the primary one. Skim provisioning was great, but there's one thing a lot of people don't consider in this journey, and I'll get on my high horse. I want to talk to the government. I hate them all, but like I'll say that it's SSO tax. Like I think it's unethical for a business to charge you extra for SSO. Provisioning, fine, maybe, but not for just basic security. And the way the industry is going, I think SSO should be out of the box, default for everybody. It's not like it's not a right. It is a right. Sorry, not a privilege. But there was something that we didn't expect, was we had to pay extra and upgrade some of our licensing to support, especially if it was company data, employee data, customer data. Like it was, you have to have it on single sign-on. There was no other alternative. And yeah, so that's that solution. So, and like I say, Intra is more than an identity tool. It's not just, okay, let's just get some single sign-on. It's not. It completely transformed IT. It opened up new opportunities that were never seen before. Like, for example, like Intra has a lot of, there are missing features, I'm not going to lie to you. It's not a perfect product yet. But with the power of Logic Apps and Graph API, we've actually built a lot of our own technologies to plug the gaps. And that's the point of Intra. Like, you're not held back by the limitations of the tech out of the box. You can build a lot of your own processes, like nuance to your business. And working with Kocho, we did manage to accomplish zero-touch onboarding. So as soon as they're on the HR system, using time-based triggers and a Logic app, we'll trigger an activation email to their personal account. MFA, we have 100% MFA coverage. Even on shared accounts, there's some tools out there, again, I wish Intra supported it, but they don't, is shared MFA. So you can even authorize who can share and get access to a code. So that way there's no context that's not behind MFA. And and then that was what Kocho had built for us, and that way it used to stress us out if they wanted to onboard 50 people, like, holy crap, what are we going to do? It's going to be like 3 days work. Now, completely zero touch. It would just automatically activate them. They'll go through the MFA process. We've even got to a point where we'll land on a welcome platform. They can do the compliance, the anti-money laundering checks. They can do their emergency contact, their bank details. We provision it all through like the My Apps. They can see everything they've got, and they'll literally, as soon as they come into the office, here you go, here's your device, go help the customer. So the burden IT was massively reduced, and the onboarding experience has improved. Still a lot of things to improve on, and there's a lot of opportunities to still tap. But that was a game changer once we got the onboarding sorted. And that's why HR is so important, because they know the team, the department, the country, the office, everything. And knowing those values, even down to the business title, we can provision exactly what they need. Most businesses are very templatable. You're looking at about 80% as a good metric to go for. But then using the power of access packages, self-service the rest of the 20%. So even at the beginning of the journey, it was like, hey, here's all your birthrights, but I still need this, I need privilege to that. Okay, I've got AWS, but I still need access to this environment. Using groups, PIM for groups was a game changer. I think they released it last year. That changed the game, and that way everything is self-service. And now the IT bottleneck has been, like, we've halved the ticket queues, like generally even more so. Probably half is probably generous. And that's the power. It's the ability to build in those self-service capabilities. And that way I've enhanced the IT team because they're no longer stuck doing the administrative tasks. And well, this is the part of one of our we had to build some customizations, but we built a wraparound. So that way, even multi-cloud privilege management, I love the app, it's gorgeous. GCP, AWS, I no longer have any at-rest. I mean, I was a sysadmin team leader for years. As a sysadmin, they normally have the worst culprits for at-rest privilege access, zero. My team have zero access. You have to elevate privilege to anything in the infrastructure. A massive game changer. And yeah, and then once you've got that down packed, license bleed mitigation, like, as soon as the levers go, the thing is, a lot of people think as well, like, oh, okay, Intra has to be SSO integrated. No, completely not. You can build a concept called shadow apps. So as long as you build the enterprise application with a group, tie it into your HR system, you can build logic apps to create tickets, to track it. It doesn't have to be a single sign-on integrated. So that way it's truly omniscient, like, well, as much as it can be, shadow IT be damned, it's all in one place. And the key is there's accountability, you can manage it, and it's as close to full terminated user risk mitigation as it can be. And it's saved it's saved a lot. And then money is a good thing, but it's also about the user risk. Like you don't want stagnant accounts. I think Microsoft says stagnant accounts are a big attack vector, so you want to keep them tight. Again, access reviews, please now do it. Do an access review. Anyone that hasn't signed in for 30 days, so easy to set up, very powerful to ensure that people that are actively using your system are active and not stagnant. Yeah, and the user experience, like it's the self-service capabilities. That's the key. Like we've managed to offset all the first-line responsibility in IT, and actually delegated it. The business doesn't even know, but they're actually doing first-line job for me, which is fantastic. They're blissfully ignorant, but it's speed, it's fast. Like they can manage it themselves using my groups, my apps, my access packages. It's all there, and yeah, it's been phenomenal. Sorry, I just want to make the last point. Yeah, so opportunities. Like okay, sweet, that sounds great, fantastic. What other opportunities has it yielded? So I now know every device, application, user, and stack. So what we've started building now is doing per-user licensing costs for every application. So you can point to a team, department, country. I know your apps. I know the people in those teams that's using the HR system. I can now do financial breakdowns of all the teams, countries, departments in the business. I mean, it's quite straightforward, and then that way you've just got this dynamic using log analytics. Okay, fine. This business, look at the team, the IT team, they have 80 grand in licensing overhead, 500,000 in device costs, because I know on Intune, I'll associate a cost to them. And then when you type it into the HR system, you could get the salary costs. So very effectively, I could say, this team costs this much. And because it's tied into Intra, I can get usage metrics. So powerful for renewals. Like we can now right size and properly, we've saved thousands in renewals, like overprivileged systems, ones that aren't adopted that much. So it's unlocked all these extra things. So in terms of like budgeting, FinOps control, licensing management, these are the things that we're kind of getting into the weeds now that the estate's in a really healthy space. And the more that we build into our app and build up the slave service capabilities, and they realize it's quicker, it's faster, they feel like they've got the control, the hearts and minds are swayed. Like people are coming to us for procurement. Procurement was a tough nut to crack. That was one of the bigger challenges that we had to have is we're targeting the money, but you want to bottleneck procurement. Like you don't want to bottleneck the business, but procurement's essential. I can't add it to Intra if I don't know about it. And a lot of people might not do that, but if you control the money, they've got no choice, and it's kind of working. And yeah, living the dream, honestly. Yeah, it's not without its challenges. I was quite lucky. I was given a lot of autonomy, a lot of asking for forgiveness, not permission. That really worked. And not a lot of issues. And we did have in-house talents that really helped us through. And it was Kocho. We interviewed 12 vendors. Kocho they came out on top. It was a no-brainer. There's a difference between knowing Azure and Intra and being identity experts. And I think the market's flooded with people that know Intra and Azure but don't really understand the power and fundamentals of identity. And I think that's where Kocho came out. And they did help us build a very, very powerful automatic onboarding tool. And their knowledge was fundamental. They gave us the blueprint to be able to achieve what we've achieved. And then it just takes a lot of motivation, a lot of ambition, not afraid to disrupt. You can do it with minimal disruption. It is possible. There's always going to be someone that gets upset along the lines, but you just got to be relentless, fearless, and just get it done, because it's just like a Band-Aid. Once it's done, you're there, and yeah, it just unlocks everything. And now going into multiple countries, onboarding new teams, onboarding new offices, the way we're doing it, I don't break a sweat anymore. It's completely unlocked. The only sweat I have now is to making sure I've got enough licenses.